Hello, everybody. Welcome to Revelation Now podcast. I'm your host, one of the hosts, Jeff Wilson. Glad you're with us. We've got two co-hosts today, and one, it's his birthday.
That's me.
That's him.
That's Tyler.
Tyler,
Trent.
that's right.
We've got Jason hanging
Hello.
as well. This is Rev Now, and we just have been really enjoying talking about. It got started in the sense of we did a series here on Revelation a while back, talking about end times, and you see quite a bit about angels, the demonic world as well in the last days. And I found myself asking the question, is it a matter of terminology? Angels, aliens, UFOs, or demons, what gives? And we're just talking about that subject. It's right there. Ephesians 6 talks about not wrestling against flesh and blood, but against principalities, powers, and so on. And today we're going to talk about something I think is interesting and funny at the same time. You know what we're talking about, right? Bigfoot. Right? Matter of fact, I have a hat on right now with the image. Now it's even a classic image. What up with that?
It is prevalent. I remember a few months ago you talked about Bigfoot during a sermon.
Yeah.
And then afterwards we had learned about the church class, and somebody was in the class and had a Bigfoot necklace on.
What a coincidence.
Yeah.
It's more prevalent than people know. It's wink wink, ha, and then you have the whole subculture it's not ha.
Yeah.
It's for real.
It's been around a long time.
It has.
But I feel like it got into popular culture even more over the last 10 years, maybe. It's really
probably
popular.
Since 60s, late 60s.
I mean,
even.
now, though, it's like
Yeah.
you have a hat. That's pretty, prevalent.
One thing is anybody can use it. What do you call that? Where it's free?
Public domain.
Public domain. You can call anything Bigfoot. You can take it. And Sasquatch, I think, too. Like, nobody owns it. So you can make materials, shirts, trinkets, and so forth. Hey, let me just say this, too. Subscribe to our podcast if you're out there, and let others know about it. Share. We've been getting good reports on it, and we're going to keep growing and going forward on it. I was a kid when it was the Patterson-Gimlin film. They did some sort of movie on it in the 70s. And a lot of people went and saw it. I forget which one it was.
A documentary or
some sort of documentary film, though, that was at theaters.
a Bigfoot documentary?
Uh-huh.
Nice.
Yeah, it showed up after that. That's where it really took off. Actually, it even goes back to the 50s when UFOs and Bigfoot kind of took off at the same time in America. But the Bigfoot phenomenon, but I remember being interested in it as a kid, but not obsessed or anything, just like, oh, that's interesting. But then just 10 years ago, right, I come across this podcast called Sasquatch Chronicles with Wes. I don't know his last name, Wes, who has a story, him and his brother. This is in North America. I think it's Oregon, up in there, Washington somewhere. They had an experience. So
He had one personally?
he personally had an experience. I happened to just come across it, was falling asleep and listening to it. And it put me to sleep so well. Just this, talking.
Mm-hmm.
And then he plays a song at the end. Every podcast. And there's some group that he likes, and he played the same song every time. I forget what it was. But he interviews people who come on, and he started this style where he doesn't interrupt the interviewee. He lets them just go. And they just tell their whole story. And half hour later, he might say, oh, okay. And maybe interject a teeny bit here and there. So I started listening to that just to sleep by. Then I finally said, all right, something's up here with it, because I was just doing it for fun. You know, just interesting. Then you have
the people
shows.
who are calling into that show, they're serious, right?
They're not. They are not joking at all.
Right. Exactly.
Matt, some are been, like we would call it, you know, a charismatic experience.
Yeah.
Like their lives has been altered.
Well, like you said, that guy literally had some kind of thing experience.
He started the whole show on it. His whole life now is
Right.
Before Bigfoot, after Bigfoot.
him and his brother after. And he's making a good living too. He has a membership and $7 a month and all of that. But anyways, I told Reggie, you've got to listen to this. And next thing I know, she's totally listening to it too. I stopped listening to it some time ago, Sasquatch Chronicles, and I'm putting it out there for you, Wes. You're already huge. It's like one of the biggest Bigfoot podcasts. Now they're everywhere. He was one of the originals. He started like 10 years ago. But now on YouTube, and just people will read stories. Somehow you can get a hold of stories and just read them, people's experiences. So there's now hundreds of people that just, one guy's called South or Dixie Bigfoot. I mean, all these different names and so on. And so eventually I just found myself saying, there's got to be something to it. You know, it can't all just be hoax.
Yeah.
I mean, it could be a psychological phenomena, and you're reading into it. Or some of these folk, that could be a lot of it. But it seems to me some folk are seeing something. Or experiencing something out in the woods, or going across the street. The number one thing is the crossing the street.
Well, it's got, I
like
mean,
a deer.
Gotta get somewhere.
And what's interesting, we were talking about it. So, anyways, we're talking about it today too because it's in the news. What's the story there?
It is. Well, Jason's got the story here, and one of the things that really that drew me to this was a headline that I saw about it, because we talk a lot in this podcast about the different reactions.
Yeah.
And how things are always just out of reach. And do you believe or do you not believe?
That's a biggie in this one.
And I just saw this it just caught me, just a headline. Purported Bigfoot video from Colorado attracts skeptics, believers.
Yeah.
You know, it's like there's two responses.
Right.
Yeah.
And we see that in faith as well, of course. But Jason, you've got more on the actual
So there
the
was
recent.
a couple taking a train ride through rural Colorado. It says it sent Bigfoot enthusiasts into a frenzy after they posted footage of a mysterious figure walking through the mountains online. Many have speculated it could be the elusive creature. Shannon
Elusive.
Parker and Stetson Tyler were traveling on the narrow gauge train ride and were looking for elk when they spotted movement on the mountainside. The video captured by a fellow passenger shows a large creature moving across the pass before stopping and squatting down on its haunches.
Was it pooping?
It kind of looks like it.
Yeah, okay.
Kind of looks like he popped a squat there.
Yeah, it's probably a ghillie suit, dude.
Yeah.
A lot of people.
This article I've got from me says that they were looking for elk but were distracted by a hairy creature instead.
He says out of hundreds on the train, only 3 or 4 of us actually saw it. He says this, I don't know about y'all, but we believe.
Yeah, the ghillie suit is it looks like a hairy monster.
Yeah.
Because they can hide in the bush with it, and you look like you're a big bush.
Ghillie suit's like a camouflage, full body.
It looks like it to me. I've seen the video, and it looks like a fella in a ghillie suit.
Like he's just out hunting elk, maybe.
No, or he was joking around with people too.
Oh, okay.
Well,
there's an actual event happened this is in the Pacific Northwest where a lot of this got started big time. Even British Columbia down in there, over on the East Coast up north, thousands of sightings, and that's where it also got started. The term Bigfoot started up in there. When the newspaper, really Bigfoot, the fella the construction crew were out in the woods, and that's where it got started in 1950, sometime or another. But a fella, this is a while back, was doing a fake Bigfoot thing, running across the street. There's people that are literally into the hoaxing part.
The fake.
Like that's their whole life.
Yeah.
Is running around the woods with stuff on their feet.
Well, the article continues to say
out.
if somebody was going to do a hoax, this is a perfect place. Because the train comes
Comes and
same
goes.
time all the time. It's a perfect spot where they
Perfect
would
distance.
be looking, and
Verified.
it's basically set up where they could easily fake this thing.
Anyway,
so.
the guy's name, I should look it up, Google it right now. He got killed.
Ooh.
Somebody actually hit the guy
when he was faking it.
Yes.
Oh no!
He
It's like
got
prank gone wrong.
killed, and
Tragic.
the family were like, "Yeah, he was a fun guy. He was just having fun with it."
Right.
But he got killed.
That's terrible.
But it's now in the thousands. And here's the thing too about it: it goes way back. The whole Sasquatch, Yowies in Australia. There's different names for it. It goes back into ancient times. It's even in the Bible.
Yeah,
And beyond
yeah,
just
yeah.
America.
Yeah, it's in the Bible. These monster-like creatures. Who's the king? We were talking
Well,
about.
it's funny.
Had that
It's funny you
experience.
mentioned that because I was wondering if maybe just a little part of this obsession is just like the obsession of like our animal within, or like if there's something about that we just know that there's that part of us.
Yeah.
And you're talking about depending on how you
They were
pronounce
called. It was first the Native American culture. They called it wild men.
it. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
It was not a quote
Well, it's
monster Bigfoot. It was
Daniel
men.
4. You can say Nebuchadnezzar, however you say it.
Yeah.
People, but yeah, that was. I love that passage because he turns into an animal
Yeah.
out in the field.
Eating grass and the whole thing.
Yeah, I've got it right here.
He goes full werewolf.
He goes
Yeah, it's
full
in the
werewolf.
scriptures.
Yeah, it's a. Let's see. I had it. It went away. Daniel 4, yeah. Immediately the word concerning Nebuchadnezzar was accomplished, and he was driven away from mankind and began eating grass like cattle, and his body was drenched with the dew of heaven until his hair had grown like eagle's feathers,
There we go. Harry.
and his nails like bird's claws. There you
turned
go.
into a monstery animal.
There he is.
Babylonian Bigfoot.
If you saw him running around, you might have said, you
Right.
know,
You might have said, look at that.
yeah.
There goes Sasquatch.
And that's in the scriptures that there was a fella who, kind of turned into something animal-ish but like I was saying though, it's considered, I was just watching something the other day, like in Alaska, the native, American, yeah, it's America, Alaska, of course. They were talking about it, how they were taught to respect these creatures. They're supernatural. They can go in and out of dimensions. They protect the forest and so on. Like they're taught it, like we're taught about angels. As Christians, they were taught about the Sasquatch or the Bigfoot or the wild men, and it has a supernatural element to it. And I was like we were saying, if something is happening, maybe people are seeing something along that line. There's some sort of supernatural element to it. I'm not saying I believe in all of it. Of course, I think there is a psychological element. It's just scary to be out in the woods anyway.
Yeah.
Sure.
At night, you might hear something. We do it all the time because Reggie and we did a lot of camping and hiking, and it's amazing. You get out there in some of these places. We were in Versailles, Indiana, on some trails that just went way out there, and you can get out there, and every once in a while you'll hear stuff, and you stop.
Yeah.
Like something will crack, some type of big. You hear thumps going around.
Sure.
And sometimes, believe it or not, this is funny, squirrels can be pretty loud.
They can.
You don't think so? More than once I thought, oh man, it's a creature. It's a creature. And then I realize it's this little dude running around. They can bark. They can make a lot of sound on the ground too. and there's times when they don't like it, you're there, and they'll do all kinds of crazy things. But in ancient culture, I mean, this whole animal thing, mythical animal, is huge.
Sure.
Don't you think?
Well, it transcends our entertainment too. I mean, you think of horror movies of werewolves.
Yeah.
You know, men turned into wolves. For me, as a kid that grew up in the late 70s, I mean, my Bigfoot was Chewbacca. Star Wars.
Boy, that's
He
a
was like a
classic.
total.
You know, he took
Bigfoot
that from the
thing.
whole Bigfoot idea.
I mean, the Wookiee was like a classic. Like,
I grew up with remember Harry and the Hendersons?
oh yeah,
that was another.
That
Sweetheart.
was a big one. He's super nice.
Oh, yeah,
Lives
best.
with them.
That's
yeah.
the thing too. Reggie and I, we argue sometimes: is he good or bad?
Yeah.
Because there's horror stories connected with it, where like he's killed people,
Or is he
eaten
neither?
people. Then there's ones where he's rescued lost children. There's actually children who talk about the hairy guy who picked them up and took them home. For real.
That was wild.
They say, yeah, I was rescued by this dude, this creature, who helped me out. I've heard that too. There's the nice Sasquatch, and there's the evil Sasquatch.
yeah. You know, come to think of it, I don't know that I've heard much of it evil. It's
That's what I
usually
told her.
kind of benign.
I said, wouldn't he be killing all kinds of people and getting away with it since you can't catch him? There's very few stories of Bigfoot killing people.
To me,
They're more positive?
Yeah. Or they're
well,
just
to
more
me,
mysterious.
it's just ambiguous. To me, it's just like this. Leave me alone.
It's not. It's not.
I
It's
just
not,
wanna-
Trying to hide.
I just want to be
it's
out
not
here.
really positive or negative.
I got this cabin back here.
Like I know, Tyler, you sent me this on Behemoth in the Hebrew,
Oh, it's so good.
and this is
Behemoth?
from the script. This is in Job 40, and the Behemoth was a large animal of unknown identity, which God mentions in his address to Job. It has been suggested that it may be a crocodile or a hippopotamus, but the word more likely refers to a legendary animal or beast similar to Leviathan. You've got the half man, half creature. That goes back a ways too. And then you have angels described in the Bible that are animals, person animals, with the wings and the eyes.
Seraphim, serpent,
Yeah,
snake
and
people.
hooves.
and-
They've got hooves. I don't think it's seraphim. We get seraphim from the Hebrew for the serpent that's in Genesis
yeah,
that shows up.
it's like
And people don't think that
Winged
God
snake
wouldn't have
person.
made serpent-looking angels, but he did.
I think growing up, some reason in my head, I thought it was like Bigfoot was like the missing link.
Yeah,
Like, you know
that's
what I mean?
true too. Yeah,
Like that
that's
was
right.
always like the spiritual side that came later. I'm like, oh wow, I never even thought. I always thought it was like the missing link who's been hiding.
That's where we came
hiding
from.
in the woods.
He
He
didn't-
didn't get to.
he
Papa.
didn't get the
he didn't get to
evolutionary
evolve all
juice.
the way.
He didn't get the memo.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like when I went to the zoo, and I feel sorry for the monkeys that didn't make it.
I thought
They got
so on Bigfoot Chronicles, are most of them saying it's spiritual? Or
Sasquatch. He will always ask the person, and now he's into the hundreds and hundreds, maybe thousands of testimonies. And you have to understand too that the majority won't tell it. These are people who have enough guts to talk about it.
Exactly.
Like there's probably multiple thousands of people who've experienced something, but they won't tell it because they'll
Yeah.
be considered
That's
crazy.
a phenomenon unto itself.
They've either seen it and they won't tell nobody. Like
Yeah.
one guy came out, up in Canada, finally they got him to talk about it. It was years, 20, 30 years he wouldn't talk about it.
Yeah.
He was afraid to talk about it. And finally he said, I can't take it anymore.
Well,
I got to talk about it and tell somebody.
well, and the second it's over, from that time forward, you know, as it becomes more and more distant memory, you question more and more, what did I see? What was it really? And then you mentioned, like, you know, then you throw in people that are, you know, hoaxing and stuff like that, and
Yeah.
and causing confusion. And I think of
There's the
that sounds like our buddy Darren Penley. He likes to
He does
wear
Uncle-
masks and
Yeah.
scare people. And
You don't want to be the guy who got the joke done to him. you know.
Yeah, you don't want to be
You
a
got
laughing
fooled.
stock.
Yeah, exactly.
You know,
You don't want to sound like you're
yeah.
crazy. And
History Channel has Monster Quest. That's a big time show. It's pretty
Mm.
popular. I don't think it's still going, but the guy who started that, he's a very intelligent fella. Very intelligent, educated, but he just believes that there's some truth to these mythological creatures.
Yeah.
Whether it's werewolf,
yeah, they're in stories
wolf.
all the way back to antiquity. It's always been like in the consciousness.
Yeah.
These
I mean, look at
beasties.
the what's the one Reggie had me watching the other day? Wheel
What's
of
the
Time.
I couldn't get into that.
Witcher.
Wheel of Time, I just couldn't get into. I don't know why. I was just,
She really liked that.
yeah.
She's got me started. I did one episode, but there's those creatures. The very first episode, here comes the creatures.
Mm.
The demonic, the darkness is always the creatures.
Well, and then you look at the flip side too. Look at C.S. Lewis's Narnia. That's nothing but creatures,
Yeah.
but they're for the most part sweet and talking beavers and fawns and
True.
And he's riffing on mythology, like
totally.
you said. That's been
What's the
around
thing? The
for
centaur?
forever.
Is that the half horse, half dude? That's a classic.
Yeah.
And then, but what makes me pause is how, again, we're asking the question: angels, UFOs, angels, aliens, UFOs, or demons? What gives? Here we're back. Because all of these things, because when we were studying Revelation, there's some things that it sounds like creatures are going to show up. Talks about the abyss. The abyss is opened up, and here comes the things with the half horse, half person. It's real crazy descriptions of things. And really, I think in a way, though, too, in some of this, there's no gray area, really. Either there's something really happening or not in this, because there's just way too much experience for it to be every single person. It's been either in their head. I mean, but why do they always describe it the same way? That's another. The description is always the same. And then that would be part of, somebody would say that's part of the psychology, though.
It's been
because they already got
suggested.
started.
Yeah.
Now everybody's seeing the hairy bipedal monster. Like, that's how it's described. Here's the Bigfoot, also commonly referred to as Sasquatch, is a large and hairy human-like mythical creature purported to inhabit forests in North America, particularly in the Pacific Northwest. That's one little description of it, but it's beyond Northwest. It's every single state.
Mm-hmm.
This has been talked about. And again, I think sometimes, are we being prepped for what's coming? Whether it's in this UFO deal, the creatures that are around. I mean, is there a prepping going on? I mean, that's like the big question. How does that affect religion? Like, one of the things with like the Bigfoot, how does that affect, if there really is this, how does that affect you as a believer? Like, somehow they act like if UFOs are real, that's going to make people walk away from their faith. Why do you think that would be? Why that doesn't scare me.
Because it's not in the
Like, it's the thing.
Scripture.
It's all physical now. So it's not really angels. It's not God. It's not
Right.
spirits.
Yeah.
That's a big thing with ancient aliens.
We figured it out.
They're almost all saying, yeah, there's no angels or God or demons. It's all actual. Because one fellow with the big hair, Giorgio Tsoukalos, he always says it's flesh and blood.
Yeah.
Astronauts. It's not angels. It's
Yeah.
not gods. It's flesh and blood.
Yeah.
And they came down in physical
Which is
ships.
Which is an interesting terminology, because our scripture says exactly the opposite. For we wrestle not against flesh and
that's
blood.
what I'm saying.
Yeah.
They're like, they think they're smarter now that they figured it out. And I just like, no, man. But back to what I was saying about Sasquatch Chronicles. He always asks the guest at the very end of their deal. He'll ask them, "What do you think it is?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think it is?" And he's now at the place he got into talking, like, there's been pastors on his show. He's talked with pastors about it because they believe it's demonic. some of these things, and Wes will be like, "Yeah, I think it could be." Now he's at the place where he's like, "I don't know." Like it's the physical Cro-Magnon deal, the guy that got stuck, or it's Gigantopithecus. It's a certain big dude that was back.
But isn't that a
way.
similar thing? It's an actual animal.
Yeah,
somehow.
it's an actual dude back with the dinosaurs type of deal. Gigantopithecus, it's this large bipedal ape like. And another thing they talk about.
Why would he still be around?
Yeah, but how is he so good at hiding? Is the thing I always laugh about.
Well,
he's the master. He is the master
hide and seek
at being blurry.
Well, yeah.
Nobody can get an actual definitive anything except for the Patterson Gimlin film in the late 60s, 67 or 68. And that's, I don't believe it's real.
Is there a Mitch Hedberg joke about that?
Yeah, Bigfoot is blurry.
Yeah.
And that's even more scary because there's an out-of-focus monster roaming the countryside. It's not the photographer's fault. That's how he starts off. It's not the photographer's fault.
Great.
Bigfoot is blurry.
Well, you know what, though? To circle back to what you said about what does that do to our faith?
Yeah.
What happens if this or that is discovered or this or that? Going back to Job,
to me,
I think that's part of kind of what God was saying to Job, right? Look at these things. I'm not saying, explicitly God created Bigfoot, but I'm just saying that that's how he was describing all those things, like Leviathan swims in the sea. It's in the Psalms as well too. Like, this is my creation.
Yeah,
it is, but there's part, like I talked about that before. I was reading that article about the phenomenon of ancient aliens, is that taking these ancient myths seriously and he's trying to say, well, these myths there's some truth to it, but it was actually
it really happened.
Yeah, it really happened
in the flesh and blood world.
For me, there is part of that, where it is we wrestle with the unseen world, but then it's very clearly throughout the scriptures. Sometimes it shows up.
That shows up.
Like you're talking about Job. He has a face-off with God, and immediately
whirlwind.
He's like, okay. He had this whole big, I'm going to take you to court, and then when it really shows up, he's like, oh, okay.
Oh, and that behemoth.
I misspoke. Excuse me.
Sorry.
I'm sorry.
That behemoth, where he mentioned behemoth, that's in that just gorgeous section where he's making his case. Like,
yeah.
Where were you?
I mean, if the scriptures are if the scriptures are true, there's another dimension that's just as real as ours. Matter of fact, it came first. And there are creatures in it. They're not of flesh and blood, but they're as real as flesh and blood.
Yeah, beings.
And, are the angels in the demonic world. I mean, look how descriptive Paul is there. And he gets it from Enoch, they believe. Principalities, powers. And he's not talking about, he could have just said evil spirits. But he even organizes it into this whole classified deal. It's like it's an organized world of creatures.
Yeah.
So what we're saying is, does there ever crossover?
Right.
I mean, Jesus ran into it.
Yeah.
More than once. They would start freaking out and crying out, not the human spirit, an evil spirit that got hold of somebody, a creature, another dimensional creature. The one was talking through what are you doing here?
Before your time.
How have you come to destroy the world? I adjure thee by God that thou torment me not. I mean, that's a creature crying out.
Yeah, I think I was thinking about
that wasn't the human.
What's her name? She just became a Christian. Kate Von D, I think her name is.
Kat.
Kat Von D.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm not super familiar, but
my wife loves her.
Part of her deal,
years.
she was really into occult stuff, and had a whole huge library. This whole deal.
The demon got.
And
involved.
I think it spooked her.
Something touched her.
She was tuned in.
Yeah, like, whoa, wait, this isn't just a joke. Yeah, like there's part of this, like you said, the wink wink thing with Bigfoot.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Like there's a lot, like Santa Claus, like is this just Santa? Like there's part of that, which I get, and then there's part of it that's like, whoa, wait a second. There's the same thing with the psychic on Michael Knowles' show.
Yeah.
It's like, wait, something's
just got
actually
real.
happening here.
Yeah, she said
Yeah.
that was her. I'm sorry, it wasn't the cat. This other lady was saying how she got physically it manifested and touched her, like it took her hand or something. And it's like the fellow Bill Weiss, the 23 Minutes in Hell. Just YouTube 23 Minutes in Hell, and boom. He's been telling his story now for over 20 years that he had an experience in hell, and it's one big, huge creature-filled place.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just a deal. And so how would it affect? The reason I find it interesting, like the Bigfoot, and I'll listen to it, because I like you're saying, my faith is such that I believe there's something happening.
Right.
And that's beyond our physical senses per se, but sometimes it does mess around over here. I don't know all the reasons why it glitches, and sometimes it doesn't. The majority of the time it doesn't.
Yeah.
I mean, from the majority, we're not experiencing these things, but it's still going on. That's what I'm saying. These things are going on. And of course, one day it's normal. Can you imagine one day seeing angels and talking to them? It's going to be normal. It's not going to be
I don't think we can overestimate, like you said, what does that do? Well, if you I think about John in Revelation, it always cracks me up because the angel shows up and it freaks him out so bad he keeps worshiping the angel.
Yeah, they have to always tell. Daniel had the same experience.
I think that it's like blows our mind, the reality of it.
Yeah.
The unseen actually showing up is like almost too much to
even
handle.
when Jesus had the experience with the full power showed up on the mountain, mountain of transfiguration.
Same thing. They fall down on their face.
Yeah.
Job, same thing.
Yeah.
There's something about it that just blows.
An angel talking sounds like many waters, like a waterfall. What kind of power is that? That's some power happening.
I think part of the hard part with both Bigfoot and aliens or that kind of thing.
I guess if it makes it too lighthearted. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, it's not just lighthearted. It's what's the word I'm looking for? Where they could be neither good nor bad. They're just
just
in between.
Like, is there any in between?
Jesus talks about.
Is there room for?
Remember that
the
evil spirit goes and gets 7 more spirits more evil than himself.
Yeah.
It's like, what is up with that?
Yeah. Right.
Like, who first of all, that's cruel. That's not very nice. The fella's already messed up with the one evil. I'm going to go get some dudes more evil than me and come back. Jesus, the madman of Gadara. And there was 2,000 somehow. Check that out.
Yeah.
2,000 demonic things were involved with this one fellow. And they couldn't tame him. They couldn't lock him down. There's that power element involved. In the book of Acts, the sons of Sceva had the same experience. They tried to go cast the demon out of a fellow, and he jumped up and attacked them. And
I love that so much.
So, I mean,
Jesus, I know. Paul, I know.
Yeah, but who are you?
Yeah.
So, I mean, they're not shying
your
away.
lunch.
I just personally think the UFO, Bigfoot, werewolf, all this stuff, I think it's in the supernatural. Because if he would ask me, if Wes from Sasquatch, what do you think it is? I would say it's angelic, demonic. Could be good or bad. Mm-hmm. These things that are happening, the UFOs, the other.
Right. And it could be a guy in a suit walking across the mountain.
You got the goofy
and there's
guys.
that too. It's multi-layered
so that's
deal.
where you can do. You got to watch doing too much of the wink wink, because this stuff will eat your lunch.
Yeah.
Some of it, this demonic stuff. There's folks completely gone down.
It's such a weird tension.
Open themselves up to it. We just talked about the people who get into the occult or different things. You can open yourself up to this stuff, and it will hang out. But there's so much destruction involved.
And with Bigfoot and aliens and all the stuff we talk about on this podcast, there intuitively there is just some sort of awareness. There's this other thing exists.
To be safe.
It's built into us.
I think so. I think
we're not all just
there's a part of me
idiots, like, you know,
it's like an adventure.
Yeah.
Well, you know, what if it's real?
Yeah,
Ooh,
it's
wow.
exciting. It could be anxious. It can be fearful. It's
like Narnia.
It's why it plays into entertainment so easily and so well.
It never goes away.
Great movies, great TV shows.
Well, the Bigfoot, like, there's part of us that likes kind of mysterious stuff and being scared, like
magical.
We just did it. We do the tooth fairy thing at our house, and I totally got busted doing it.
Oh no!
Totally
Sneaking
got
in.
cold busted. What are you doing with my hand under the pillow?
You've ruined it.
Sorry. But they like it.
Yeah.
There's something in human nature where we just like that kind of fun.
And that's where C.S. Lewis says
and it's almost like like my one daughter Ivy, she's at an age where like she's like, "Are you the tooth fairy?" But she's not pushing it because she still likes it. It's still fun.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah.
It's a fun thing.
And there is that element. Well, how does C.S. Lewis say it? That desire for the other country, it must really be there. The desire for
something
more.
like that.
It's in all of it. And I mean, just look at what God has created right now. Talk about incredible creatures.
Mm-hmm.
Who would have thought up the giraffe? And that it works. What goes into the software in the neck and all of it. I saw something the other day on it. They're still amazed that dude can swallow and.
That's a long way.
I think
They're amazed at how he can eat
How do
and
you
swallow. And
that
the
big
way
neck?
it works, they're like, it's amazing the engineering that went into this dude.
I think that at Lewis quote, which fits great what we're talking about, I think you're thinking of is, if I find in myself desires which nothing in this world can satisfy, the only logical explanation is what I was made for, is that I was made for another world.
Right.
So it's another world that we're just like seeking out and looking for and trying to tune into. And
It's true. I think there's a sixth sense.
We do have that.
There's some kind of sense that there's something beyond this. It's such a strange. It reminds me of like, it's kind of Truman Showish, but kind of like in a video game when you try to go off the path and you reach a wall
off-world,
where you're just running. But you're
especially
running.
a glitch or
It's some kind of glitch.
You're
but
stuck in the wall.
You can't move past this thing. There's some unseen
I liked it in
wall
the games where you would
can't
find the secret world.
Yeah.
You'd go through the door and it'd open up to a cavern.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you didn't know it was there. It's right there. It's so close.
Yeah.
Right there.
Big time.
That is part of it. For without faith, even God has said it is impossible to please him. For he that comes to God must believe that he is and that he's good. I think it's part of the adventure, the believing, and part of the searching and the seeking. Like I said, I think before, many of the people that you can tell something's really happened, whether it's Bigfoot or the UFO or even aliens or whatever it might be. Some of them, it's become sacred to them.
Yeah.
Like one fellow, I remember, he's like, he would not go to the place it happened. They finally got him to go, and he was just, man.
Wow.
Like, he almost started to cry.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
They had to take him away, but like, I can't be here. I can't be here.
Sacred space.
The scriptures are like that.
And then,
I mean,
then
these
there's
guys
the
have,
ones,
Jacob, I mean, it's like, mark that spot.
Yeah.
Something.
Don't forget.
Yeah, and then there's the
Memorial.
ones they want it to happen again.
Mm-hmm.
It's so touched something in them that they've now, some of them have almost lost it.
Yep.
They've spent the majority of their time now trying to experience it again. Like, hey, come home and get out of the woods now.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you don't understand what's happening. So, I told Reggie, this is my confession. If Bigfoot's real, I'm going to see him.
What's that mean?
That's what it means. If he's real, I'm going to see him. I'm
does
out
he-
there enough.
Now,
I am out there. I am out there. She's on a, you know, like I said, she loves to go fossil hunting, and she's got me in this whole other world now of going out, walking creeks, walking woods. Like we were doing it every week there for a while, even around here. So
Yeah.
I've found myself constantly in places where if he's real, sooner or later,
put
I'm
out
gonna catch him.
You're going to
Put
get
out-
a blurry look.
put out some cookies.
I'm gonna see him, and I'm yes,
So
yes. I'm gonna join the club. That's what the one fella says in Finding Bigfoot, Bobo or whatever his name is, the big tall guy. They use him as the Bigfoot dude to go see how tall he is. They make him go out in the field.
Oh,
he's
the
a
reference
measure.
point.
The reference point guy. What's his name, Bobo? I love Finding Bigfoot. It is so fun. The show, 10 seasons, they never really, no definitive proof whatsoever, but they act like there's definitive proof every single time.
Mm-hmm.
But they have the one girl who's the skeptic of them. Oh, she's awesome. Yes, if you go out here looking for it, you're going to see it, because you already said yourself. She has all these reasons for it. But he always says, "Welcome to the club, man." Whenever somebody they get,
Yeah, there's a
they would go to
community
the
there.
story, because those three guys have all experienced it when they went and did a whole show on it. That's how much they believe it.
I love it. This digging deeper for that something other. Jennifer watches some show, Curse of Oak Island or something like that.
Yeah.
It's on like season
Oh,
73.
they're
they still
hilarious.
haven't found
They
it.
have it.
is it a
It's like-
ghost?
I got
No,
caught up in that
treasure.
one for a while. Treasure.
It's Treasure on Island, and they almost
Let
they
it
almost
keep going
find
now.
it.
Every time
They almost find it every time.
they'll
and
have
there's
to end the show if they.
And
No,
it's amazing. It's
but there's
the
a
nights-
calamity every time. Like
Yeah.
it's cursed.
Oh,
Yeah, it is
really?
So they'll get close to it, but then people almost die, and the thing falls apart, and there's a sinkhole, or there's like a
Yeah, and then they'll find a coin. And then we
Just
gotta
out of
keep
reach.
going. We gotta keep going.
we're gonna get to.
That's what it feels like.
These are two rich guys. I think they've spent millions.
Yeah,
They
she
have
loves
spent
it.
millions
I get
on
it.
it.
It's fun.
It is fun.
It's fun. It's like
They
and
got
it's,
it down to the nights coming from London. All this stuff, man.
and it's an
With
escape.
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then there's, back to our question: angels, aliens, UFOs, or demons? What gives?
What is it?
So, yeah, if somebody said, "Oh, you're into Bigfoot," I wouldn't say that's fine. It's not I'm past the wink wink of it, because I've just been around the culture long enough, watching it and reading some and analyzing, and I realize, I think at the heart of it is a seeking for truth. Yeah, this whole more to life deal. That's really at the heart of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think all of it. There's got to be more. It's like I just showed you that quote of a friend on Facebook. There's got to be more to this life.
Yeah.
There is.
Meant for more. Meant for another world.
Yeah, there actually is more. That's why our heart here is that we experience life, the life that Christ came to give, that life we were meant to live. In John 10:10, he said, "The thief comes before to kill, to steal, to destroy." That's the wrong side of this stuff. But I have come, he said, that you might have life and have life more abundantly. Hey, thanks for tuning in. This was a great one today. Enjoyed this. We're going to see you again next time. Rev now.
Subscribe. Tell a friend.
Yes, sir. Happy birthday. How old are you now?
I am 73.
Man, you
Looking
look so
good.
good.
Keep your eyes out. Put out the milk and cookies.
That is. I wonder how old Sasquatch is.
Maybe you should do the next missing tooth for your kid should be the Bigfoot
Do
fairy.
they die?
Bigfoot fairy.
See y'all.